Welcome to the Modern Day Slave podcast. See, the new slavery in these days is mind control. If you control the mind, you can control the people. This podcast is dedicated to the re-education and awareness of our modern influences through the examination of current and historical circumstances that have led to conditions that we now live. Welcome to your freedom. Question of the day. What is the slave master's most valuable asset? I would say is that the slave master's most valuable asset is the slave. So I wanted to welcome you back to the next episode here on the Modern Day Slave podcast. As we dive in and we answer a perspective, I thank you for being here. Now, I want to remind you that not all this information may be for you. Some people may not be able to receive the information, and that's completely okay. I'm just putting the information out there for you. If you want to receive it, it's up to you. You can receive it. If you don't want it, then hey, you could leave it where it is. I don't charge you anything for this message whatsoever. This message is coming to you free of charge. The most valuable asset to the slave master is the slave, specifically the modern slave. So that's what we're going to dive into this episode. Thank you for tuning in. I thank you for listening. And I really hope that at least one little bit of this information is valuable to you. And I'm going to have two asks a little bit later on as we dive into this episode that I'm going to ask that you do. If you find any piece of this information valuable. I'm your host, Nakia. Let's dive into this information. Let's dive into a few of the facts that are laid out. I want to talk first about a little bit of history. I want to take us back to, 1666. That was a very important year. People may remember that there was literally a plague in the land, specifically the land of London, called the bubonic plague or the Black Plague, Black Death, as they called it. And I want you to understand what was taking place in those times to help us get into this. There's this thing called the Cestui Que Vie Act that was passed in that year. And this is a very important act. And I want you to understand when the Great Plague hit the land. Literally in modern times, again, I want you to understand the modern part to this. We have just come out of what was called a pandemic. Some people call it a plandemic, where there was an experiment just before this pandemic where they experimented on almost the exact circumstances for this thing called the coronavirus, COVID-19. So I want you to understand this piece of history was very similar to the times that we live in. But in Great Britain, they enacted this thing called the Cestui Que Vie. And what did this thing do? This thing allowed for them to have a created insurance policy during that time. And this insurance policy was on the people, aka the trustee or the husband, right? And any property. Now keep in mind, a person at that particular time who owned property and was a male, they were the ones who held the rights at the time. So if you were a male that owned some property, some land, right? Or you had a family or a woman, right? That was considered to be property back in those days. Then you had a policy that was taken out on you by the crown. That's right, the crown, right? Where this created a bond that was on you. Essentially, if you died, guess what? They got to cash out on that bond. So who created this? It was the crown, the British crown, aka the queen or the king, depending on who that time frame happens to be, right? We know that the untimely passing, well, I guess it wasn't untimely, right? Everything happens all within the accordance and the alignment of the creator. But we just had the passing of the queen, and now we have a new king that has been crowned in London, right? So keep in mind this act created this policy, right? And essentially what it did is that it claimed all people and property until a quote, living man came to reclaim the estate. In other words, if you died, guess what? You didn't claim it. You didn't even know it was there. Now, this was in Latin words, which at the time, Latin wasn't widely used. So when they created this policy, they put it as a Latin term that a lot of people don't even know what it means. Now, the question is this still in act today? Well, as I mentioned, the slaves must be set free. Is there a bond in everyone's name? As was done back in these days, a policy, right? Taken out. Well, let me ask the question. Do you own a birth certificate? Why is a birth certificate printed on bond paper? So I think those are questions that you would want to have the answer to, right? So everyone has one of these things, right? Since the creation of this act were held until a quote, living man came to reclaim his estate. Well, the scripture confirms that you must come out of Babylon in order to inherit the kingdom of heaven. That it is the righteous that shall inherit the land, right? So essentially what this did is this took you from being the birthright of the land to being what? To being a paper, a bond against your life. All of your assets were essentially controlled through that bond, through that creation. That is why on your birth certificate, you're going to notice that your name is, in most cases, in all caps. Now, all caps in anything, right? From a legal standpoint, refers to what? It refers to a legal entity, to a company, a corpse oration, or a dead person. When you put all caps on something, right? Not a living, breathing man or woman. And again, I got to go back to this fact that when this thing was done, it was done in Latin. Most people didn't speak Latin at the time. So no one really knew what was created or what was being done at the time. So if you don't understand language, etymology, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to understand what has been done to the original slaves. Again, bringing this to modern times. In modern times, when you are born, within a certain period of time, you're told that you need to get a birth certificate, right? As the parents to that child. Well, you go, you sign up, you register the name. This is when you then get a printed certificate. Now, people don't examine the birth certificate enough and look at it. There's some very important dates that are on the birth certificate. Very important dates. And I encourage you, if you have a copy of your birth certificate, if you have a copy of it, grab it, look at it. I want you to examine these things that we're talking about today. Okay? Again, there was an ask earlier. This is my ask. Right now, if you're getting any information, anything that's valuable to you, I want you to share this. This is my first ask. Share this with someone that would be willing to be reborn again, as the scripture talks about Nicodemus. Unless a man be born again, he won't see the kingdom of heaven. I want you to send it to those people. Not everyone's ever ready to receive this information. Not everyone has the capacity or the ability or even the desire to change, to understand what has been done, what has been created. Who are the modern day slaves? Not everyone's able to receive this, but I want you to send it to just one person, one that you know is seeking, that they want to understand the purpose. They want to understand the role. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. The first and most important role and valuable asset to a slave owner is his slave, is his property. The second ask that I'm going to have for you today is to support our cause, support our mission. Our goal is to unify, and your support goes a long way in that unity. So come back and listen to another episode. Go back and listen to some of the previous seasons of this particular podcast and just understand some of the information. Again, we're just putting information out there for you. You may or may not take it. That's totally fine. It's up to you. You make that choice on whether you want to take the information or whether or not. I'm not responsible for you receiving it. I'm just simply delivering the, information. So just putting it out there. Now, again, going back to the birth certificate, right? There's also a date received registrar. The date it was registered. So that being said, that date is often different from your actual date of birth. So, for example, on my birth certificate, of course, it has my date of birth listed there under date of birth, January 18th. Now, it even gives a specific time, it gives you the location, all of that information. It also gives the date that it was signed, the doctor's information, and then it also gives this very interesting date that says date received by registrar. Now, there is also a registrar name listed on your birth certificate as well that houses information. So just examine that paperwork, and then come back to the next episode as we dive a little bit deeper into what we've uncovered. May you be at peace with knowing what your true identity is, knowing what your birthright is, and knowing what has been done against that birthright. Peace and blessings. Before you go, I also wanted to share a little bit of information in regards to what we've been doing on Wednesday evenings here in the Valley with our unsheltered. We have, as many of you know, been providing cold water, popsicles, amongst other things. And we've got a big event that's planned with a couple of the local companies here in the Valley who want to get involved. They've seen the work that we've been doing and they want to get involved. And so we've got a couple of events. And so I just wanted to encourage you to continue to, as you think about this, I want you to put it in your heart to sow a seed. Put it in your heart to sow a seed into fertile soil. We are really, truly starting to have an impact with the people. We went most recently, and we were literally chased by a guy who had a butcher knife. It reminded me of the Rambo knife, just for anyone who knows Rambo. We were chased by a guy who had one of those. Again, there is very high spiritual warfare. You have to understand the spiritual implications to what's going on there. Even though we were there to deliver these essential needs to the people on the streets. However, I was able to encounter the 31-year veteran who has been living on the streets pretty much since we've been going down to support our unsheltered. And he came up to us. We hadn't seen him for the past couple of weeks, and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry I missed you guys the past couple of weeks, man. It's just been different, man. I've been going through a lot." And I said, "Man, totally understand." I said, "Man, we've been missing you over the past few weeks. As a matter of fact, we've been asking about you. I come by your tent every time I come down." And he says to me, "Man, every time I see your face," he says, "it seems like everything that I have going on around me just seems to melt away." And he's like, "Man, and it gets me through." I said, "Man, you don't know, that means more to me than it does to you. Because every time I see you, I know that there's hope. I know that there is purpose. And so, it's very good to see you today." And like I told him last time, I said, "If it be the will of the Most High, we've got something for you." And so we're slowly starting to impact people's lives, no matter what takes place there. So I want you to join us again in the mission to, support your fellow brothers and sisters, support the human effort, support those who are the despised, rejected, the downtrodden, for surely the kingdom of heaven lies with them. And so that is the purpose and the mission why we do what we do when we go down every Wednesday. But we've got a big event that's coming up, so we would love to have your help and support as well, in any manner. Do whatever your Creator puts on your heart. That's all we're asking. You can hit the link. The link is in the bio. The link is also posted online. So just so you know, my website, stepbyfaith.com, is under maintenance right now. So if anyone has tried to visit that, it is under maintenance. We are getting ready to revamp and just really dive into the purpose and have our website focus more on the purpose and the mission of what we're building. We have recently, I'm in a group of investors who have recently also obtained almost 40 acres of land over one of the largest aquifer here in the North American region. And so things are working. As we drove to the town, we saw a vision of life, of prosperity, of being able to rebuild and reestablish a community under the children of God. And so, we've got a lot of things that are moving right now in the land. So, and we would love to have your support. If it's just in the area of prayer, that is enough for us to continue this mission forward, to do a good thing into our Creator, a good thing into the Lord. So again, we thank you for your help. We thank you for your support. We thank you for your well wishes. And we also are blessed to thank you for the information that has been provided in this episode. We truly hope that you were blessed by this information, and that, if it be the will of the Most High, that you come back and you listen to the next episode that we're getting ready to release in regards to, this modern day slavery, in order to get yourself free, to get yourself back to what your birthright was. The slave master loses the moment we start to recognize that we're on the plantation. When he continues to put his yoke of bondage out in plain sight for you, and you ignore it by not feeding into the trap that he's laid before you, you then win your freedom. Welcome to your freedom. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modern Day Slave Podcast, where we expose the stumbling block that was placed by the slave master in order to keep the modern day slave under their yoke of bondage. You have just been freed. Welcome to your freedom.
I'm not with the slave deal, brother. I'm not with the slave deal. I'm not with it.
Yeah.
We want land, and you're independence. We want the 7 southern states as our homeland, and you're talking about, why don't we all just get along and walk in hand with you guys? That's what you did there? He said, lineate what you did. I don't want to anybody in their right mind would not want to merge with you. And so, when he woke up, it's when they killed him. All right, so now it's our turn now, and we don't even have to talk about militarism, because that's not the age of Aquarius. The Aquarius is compassion and love and understanding and forgiveness. Like I was telling you, I'm working with some folks. People ask you, how could you work with them? They're the enemy. I said, yeah, they are on my level. But on a higher level, we want to stop everybody from hurting themselves for the sake of the Creator. That's what's really important, because I'm not doing this for my benefit. Because my understanding, the Lord of the Heavenly Hosts only does enhancement. All the other stuff, that's somebody pretending to be that way. That's my understanding. So it's easy to go to somebody who's been my enemy, who's ready to kill themselves, and talk them out of it for the sake of the Almighty. I got to think the Lord is pleased with that. I'm open. I just don't want to think that the source would say, no, I want him dead. I don't think they do. I don't think they...
Well, remember, the scripture says he would leave the 99 to go after one.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, man, they just want an excuse to kill. So, like, when Mark Lee was killed in Ramadi, his mother is like, he wanted to be a pastor, and they really did find weapons. I understand, Debbie. You're going through a lot of pain. And so you got to justify the reason your son died, because you don't want to say he died in vain, which he did. Because there was no reason to invade Iraq. That was wrong. It was an invasion. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like the aggressor. He doesn't like it when we do it. He doesn't like it if you do it. He doesn't like it if they do it. Never be an aggressor. Period. So when Muslims aggress, you're wrong. You're wrong. And you can say, well, we're spreading the deen and we got Islamic law and all. Yeah, right. Look, if you're going to spread something, do it the way them brothers did in Indonesia and then, what's the other one?
Precisely.
Where they say, oh my God, look at these guys, look at the character.
Yeah.
We never seen about like this kind of people.
In Spain. In the very beginning of Spain. That's what happened with Spain. That's what got Spain out of the medieval ages. Because there was a group of Muslims that came from Northern Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, they were aggressors. No, I think a lot.
No, the people. You talking about the people that came out of Africa, Northern Africa?
The Moors. You talking
Yeah.
about the Moors?
Yeah. I'm talking about the Berber tribe that came over.
Yeah, the Berbers. But you know,
let me tell you this.
They did push that. They did push that.
No, they didn't.
If you go into a place.
That's what the Spanish would tell you. As someone that's a true, what we consider to be a Spaniard today, they would tell you that. But archaeology says different. You want to know how archaeology says different?
If they didn't, that's good. But the point is, we have to, you know, my character will be the one that makes you change to be like me.
Precisely. And that's exactly what it was. So what they did is they brought in revolution, and the people started seeing the way that they were living. They even introduced the chorale. Did you know that they're the ones responsible for the chorale?
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good, but that's a sidebar. All the point I was making.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can never be aggressor on each other.
Precisely. Agreed.
I'm of the sense that everybody got a spiritual path. We want to work together like organs in a body.
Absolutely.
The heart doesn't fight with the lung.
Absolutely.
The lung doesn't fight with the liver. See, that's my thinking. Now, see, I may be isolated in this because the majority of people got to have an enemy outside the gate.
Come on.
Then you're not somebody who I would consider somebody I could be with, because I just think everybody has to find their own path.
Yeah.
As long as your path can enhance others from their point of view on a moral and ethical plane, without conditions, it's alright to get it back. That's in my opinion.
Without conditions.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the fact that I had two people who follow the way of heaven at the Eid afflicted with me, that was a good day for me.
Me too, brother. Me too.
That was a real good day for me.
Indeed it was.
I can use that as leverage, because I want to take your brothers to the mansion inside there. I want to meet at some point. You meet. Explain. Yeah. These brothers follow Yeshua Mashiach. However, they were at the Eid with me. Praise God, with me and us. They were there. You remember?
Yeah.
So like when in the past when they had interfaith dialogue, whatever it wasn't to make it Tawheed. It was to, I don't know what it was for, because nothing ever came out of it like it should have. Like that charter should have permeated over this whole country, because it didn't call for conversion. It called for love amongst people. And if you do something good, let the world benefit.
Right.
You know, that's all it was. I mean, I'm not gonna look. I get a way of thinking. My path, it works for me. It works for me. Maybe it won't work for you.
That's it. That's absolutely it.
Like, right.
That reminds me of the story of the guy. Remember the guy who Abraham followed? Mm-hmm. In the Holy Quran.
Yeah.
Remember that guy? The guy who the 3 stories where he said, "Man, only if you can put up with me will you be allowed to continue this journey with me. Don't ask me any questions about it." So yeah, you're spot on, brother. You spot on. Keep going. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, I was just saying that I think we have the formula if we just can get other people to.
That's it.
To drink
yeah.
the drink.
To come on board. Yeah, to see what's going on.
We got a situation. I don't know if you ever heard of A.Q. Khan. You know who that is?
Who?
A.Q. Khan. Abdir Kadir Khan. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have, brother. I don't think I have.
Okay. You know what happened in Dar es Salaam and what's the other one? Kenya? Maybe that was Dar es Salaam.
It doesn't.
It was 98 when the American embassies in East Africa
was
bombed. You remember that?
Yes.
Remember that? Okay. That was because what happened, May 5th, 1998, Pakistan exploded its first nuclear weapon. And a guy by the name of A.Q. Khan was the father of that. It was May 28th, 1998. And it was Dar es Salaam in Kenya, and what's the other one? I think maybe that was 2, but it was 2 embassies in East Africa. The American embassies were bombed. And, a lot of civilians died. So, I don't know who was behind that. You never know who was really behind that stuff. Sometimes this makes it look like somebody else you're doing it, but you're actually somebody's behind it because they have an agenda.
Well, I mean, you said a mouthful just then, brother. You sure did. Hey, I'm chewing up. I'm chewing up what you're putting on the table. Keep going.
So what happened was, okay, so Pakistan and Afghanistan are the same country. The British drew the borders.
Precisely.
Yeah. So I mean, the Pashtuns. I mean, America just kept fighting 20 years, and you just lost. You just lost. And they didn't have JDAMs. They didn't have B-52s. They didn't have cruise missiles. They didn't have MOABs. But what they had was faith and pure hearts. And the people you had were corrupted, like in Vietnam, South Vietnam. When you left, it crumbled. Because that's not what we should be doing to each other. We shouldn't be killing and fighting each other. It's not necessary with all the technology and the science and ability to make this world to a paradise. What are we doing this to each other for? So I think the only way to really make sure that doesn't happen is just, I guess, something called my throat. Is prayer from the point of view where we work with the upper forces to where we almost compel the people not to do that with each other.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. I don't know if it's real, because I can't do it without help. It's going to cause for the Brahmins and the Buddhists and the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Baha'is and whoever to say, look, let's change this paradigm, this trajectory, this missile is getting ready to hit this planet in the way of self-destruction of the human species. Because the planet's going to survive, but we may not.
Yeah, it's already pointed.
That's what I'm concerned about.
It's already pointed. I say, it's already pointed, brother. That missile you were speaking.
Wait, I didn't get that. What'd you say?
I said, it's already pointed. That missile that you were speaking of.
It's already what?
Pointed this way. It's heading this way. Pointed in the direction.
Yeah. So remember after May 5th, 1998, and these people are responding to what was done to them by the West. 2 American embassies were bombed. Okay. Then Nicole was bombed. Right? 17 says Gulf of Aden. Which, what are you doing there in the first place? And then 9/11, which that's a little shaky, but who was behind that one? But what happened in.
It's like you said earlier, brother. Same thing like you said earlier.
Yeah, what happened in Lebanon in 1983?
Yeah, man.
When one Hezbollah fighter took out, October 23rd, took out 286 Marines. Now, you know what?
Right.
really, this ain't my country, but it is my country because this is the only one I know.
Well, like you said, brother, you've been born on this land. You were born on this land.
Right, right. And this is mine. This is mine. But I served in the military thinking, it's my country.
That you were serving for us. Right.
I was just used. And I don't think that if I had to do over again, I would have went in direct. Now, what was good for me was I never had to fight any combat in a situation like that. I never had to take another human life. That's good for me. What's bad for me is that I was in the military that's caused a lot of this destruction around the world, this country. And I identify, this is my major, I speak other languages a little bit, but majority is just English, and this is not really my tongue. I've been a slave mentally, too. This happened.
Yeah, man. We all have been, brother.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I think if anybody has the right to claim this land as theirs, it's us. Because
the people.
We put more
it's the
service
people.
than anybody else.
That's right. We the people. We have the right to claim that because guess what? This is our land. We put in blood, sweat, tears for this land. We have.
Right. And we should determine what the government's going to be.
Come on.
It's not going to be what you guys want.
It should be.
I don't want a military-industrial complex running.
All right, there you go. That's it.
We can defend ourselves, but we don't need to lead this way in destruction of the human species around the globe. Because a lot of people around the globe hate this country because of what she's done. I get a family right now. I don't know if you remember this situation. I'm trying to remember. This was a few years ago. Maybe 10, 20, maybe 20 years ago. I could be 20. You may not remember this. But anyway, it's the Rocky family. This one family didn't like the other family and their boyfriend and girlfriend. The father didn't like the family that his daughter was bringing into, and they were a wild bunch. They're really a wild bunch. I can see how he felt. When he ultimately killed the girl at DES. He killed her with his car because he didn't want the family, because he was disgraced in his opinion. This girl died a virgin. Then he runs to a rock. You remember that situation? You
No, I don't. I remember we talked about it. I know you and I have talked about it. So yeah, I remember we talked about it.
Yeah. Well, I know the family. I work with the family now that he didn't want his family being a part of, and I totally understand why you did it, but I don't understand what you did.
Yeah.
That's your daughter. Why would you kill her with a car? Because you don't. I mean, there's other ways. He runs to a rock. The guy's in prison now. See, those are Arabs. When they lost their way, so that's why that sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad was given to you. Yeah. That's not for me.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Yeah.
But even they want to come into this country and lead me in my country. Like I was talking to the brother of the girl, his sister. His sister was Noor's best friend, and I was talking. I was telling him, well, you know, my cousin, my family, my grandkids, I want them to go, if they want, be able to go through the service academy. You know, and he said, oh, you can't, you can't, this country, you can't, military, the city. I said, you understand, I want my children to be officers. So they're officers, allegiance to the Constitution. And there's nothing wrong with the Constitution. It's a good writing. Okay, they don't want it for us, but we want it, because it's a good writing. It comes from the upper forces. So why wouldn't we want it? We can stop the aggression. That's why we have to be in the military. Don't you get it? We have to be in the military in command positions, man. See, you don't understand. See, what he could see it is, well, they're just going to tell you what to do. You're going to do what you do. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm not saying join as private, as E1. I'm saying go into the second lieutenant.
Yep.
Because I got family right now, you know, the Habesha community, you get this one family where his brother wants to be a career military guy. And they're all, and see, when I was working with the Arabs all the time, they had to, the military, you have to be suspicious of me because you're fighting Muslims, and I'm black. You have to be suspicious. So what they did, brother, they got the Habesha people coming over here, and they're happy to be here. So I work with them because at least it should lessen the suspicion. Because they're happy to be here. You know, they want to be here. And so, you know, they're like people of this discussion on that. You got your aerospace engineer, you got your intel, you know, engineers and
oh, yeah. You got intel right here, don't you?
They're happy to be here.
Yeah.
So, for us, you know, if you're Muslim and you're black and you come in here, you know, they got to suspect you. You said, well, goddamn, you know, these people were slaves for 400 years. Now they're Muslim. We're taking Muslims. Right. We got to have an eye open.
Right.
That's right. So I understand it.
Yeah.
Determined from a civilian point of view, the kind of government I want. So I work with the Debbie Lesko, who's the congressman. I work with, the powers that be from their perspective. In other words, I help organize an electorate of WASP, of White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Now, you don't like it, but that's reality. I'm here. I'm successful with it, and I'm a political force to be reckoned with. Our organization. You see what I'm saying? And we use that as leverage to turn that missile into a plowshare. Even though you don't want it, what you guys did on January 6th was treason. It was treason. Now, you weren't coloring it as just a walk and be, yeah, right. That's what you always do when you do something wrong. You put the spin on it. It was no harm done. But the facts are that was a treasonous act that you did. That was treason. It's like what George Bush did when he out-evaluated plane.
Yeah.
He worked on stopping nuclear weapons proliferation.
Right.
That's treason what you did.
Right. And then you go to war.
Nobody's going to call you on it.
And then you go to war.
That's what Julian Assange did when he exposed those Apache helicopters murdering those people.
Come on, man.
Now he's in prison. What George Bush did was treason. It was treason from two points of view. You invade the country, you knew there wasn't a threat, and then you are the woman who stops the proliferation of nuclear weapons, for the Lord's sake. Why would you do something like that?
Well, think about this, too. It was also symbolic of the fact that the people are tired of what has been taking place. So, you have to also analyze that side of it, too, is that they were bold enough, thought that they could go up there, even though they were committing treason, they didn't see it as that because they were fooled, tricked, bamboozled, hoodwinked. And that's what we do. We don't talk about that fact, but now they're trying to go back and redo and recoup what they did with the first plan by pinning all these charges against the guy. They don't want the guy to reveal the truth. They know they don't. They don't want him to reveal what's really going on, and that's why they'll be afraid to really just prosecute him the way they want to. Because he really knows the truth.
Are you talking about Julian Assange?
No, I'm not talking about him.
Who?
Talking about the 40, what was it, 45?
Oh, yeah, 45, right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So that was,
there's a guy by the name of Malcolm Nance. I don't know if you ever heard of Malcolm Nance. He's an intelligence guy. He wrote this book called Donald Trump's Plan to Destroy America.
Okay.
He's an intelligence guy. He's really empirical in his writing. And and so this guy goes back to the what do you call it, to the Revolutionary War and fighting every war. Look, man, honestly, if Kiblian is African, no matter what we do, we'll never be accepted by these people unless we take power from them. And we can take power from them.
We already got the power. We just don't know we have it. We already have the power. We just don't know we have it, brother. That's what we don't realize.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you wake up your base and realize what power you really have, and what can happen is what you just said. You start working in small, sustainable groups with credit unions, small businesses where you're funding. See, it's just like a tree, or any plant. If it doesn't get the sunlight, if it doesn't get fresh water,
come on.
If it doesn't get food,
laws of nature,
it's gonna wither. And so we don't. It's just like we don't give it that.
Yeah.
See, that's my feeling of how to fight. Yeah. Now, if you want to aggress us, we're all military people.
Right.
You want to aggress us.
Right.
But see, their time is up and they know it and they don't know what to do. So it's time for us, like your brother was telling you, it's time to take power. I don't know how to do it. I think young people are going to do it. I think it's going to be your generation that does it.
Man.
I really do. I don't think it's going to be somebody like me. All I can do is give you, like a professor emeritus point of view, look, man, this is what we made our mistake. This is what we did wrong. We thought it was this time and it was that time.
Yeah.
Now it's this time. That's how we should do it. This is my opinion. As an elder, as somebody who's on a board, just giving advice. But the young people, the president, the CEO, the COO, the treasurer, you guys got to run it. You guys just give us a report and let's see how it works.
Yeah.
But that's really how I think it could work. That's what I think it could work. Because there's so many people who want that. Like I said, this is his brother in Nigeria, Dangote. And, he's Muslim. And he went to Al-Azhar. But he's a practical man. He's supposed to be the richest man in Africa. He's energy, communications, and cement. And, he went, like I say, he went to Al-Azhar. But he works with other people. And see, whoever wants to make the Nasrallah and the Muslim moon fight, you're not on the side of the Lord of the Heavenly Host, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like if you this so-called Israel,
right?
We're partners of South Africa. In Namibia, they helped kill 11 million people.
Yep.
I don't see them as being Israelites. I see us as being Israelites.
Well, if you analyze what the Holy Book says about who the people of God were, even Matthew 5, which is where Christ talked about those that are blessed. He said, "Blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek at heart, blessed are those that have been downtrodden. For surely yours is the kingdom of heaven." And who is he talking about? He was referring back to when, guess who? Moses brought them out of where? Out of Egypt. So they were in slavery for over 400 years in that point. Now, mind you, that context is very paradoxical to the time frame in which we were brought here to this land and soil in masses. Now, mind you, we were already here before they brought us over here. Now, what did they bring when they came with them? Now, that's the question that you have to ask yourself, because you talked about it earlier. That it has been said by a lot of those that are of what you would consider to be today the British descent, or the Dutch descent, or any of those who came over to this land, right? Of those descents, they'll say that when the Moors came in, that they were brutal and conquering, but there was no mass death events that happened when they invaded. As a matter of fact, the way of life actually improved. Matter of fact, the death rate went down when they came over, and within less than 2 years, they had all of the entire continent of Spain, with the exception of 2 territories. And this is where Madrid, which is again, Spain, right? Madrid is named after a Moor.
So you're saying when the Moors went into Spain, they improved things?
When they went in, they brought in with them architecture. They brought in the palaces. So at that time, the Spaniards were living in wooden homes with their animals and pets inside of them. That's why the bubonic plague and all these different plagues were plaguing the people, is because they were living in the home with the animals.
Well, yeah, I know when the Andalus came in, but they had to push some people out the way, though, didn't they?
They allowed them to come in because they were bringing innovation to the people. See, at the time, the people were being fed by the priests spiritually. Spiritually, they were being fed by the priests. Well, we know what's happened underneath the Roman Catholic rule throughout the annals of history, right?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like what's happening in Tehuacán now. I mean, like these guys are running around.
There you go.
Themselves priests.
There you go.
It's not like you're doing any miracles. I mean,
there you go.
I think if you're following Yeshua, you should be able to do certain things, I would think.
Well, if you're following the way of the way.
I've seen things done.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're saying was the golden age of Islam.
Yeah.
It's not like that now. This is no Islam now. I can see
it is. Totally agree. I totally agree.
I don't see it. I don't see it. It's heartbreaking because...
Yeah. I totally agree
with you, brother. What happened with me, brother, what happened with me, I told you.
Yep.
It was 79, it was, Ku Klux Klan was marching BU.
Yep.
They were talking about exterminating us, and, Iran had just took over from the Ayatollah.
Yep.
And I didn't know what to do. So I thought, well, I better join Nation of Islam. Because everyone's ready. Turns out they were nowhere ready.
Right.
I mean, they've never been for black suffrage. They've always been whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what the corruption made them fall. Where they were pure-hearted, I was talking to Brother Day about that. Where they were pure-hearted, they were successful. But when you got corrupted, that's when you fell. And that's the hard part. It's when you have success, don't be corrupted. Listen, face it, man.
Well, remember what happened with King David, man?
You got a 70-year-old man surrounded by all these young girls.
Come on, man.
It was a little hard to keep his cool. You know what? I'm in my 70s now, right? Actually, he was in his 60s when he started. But like, all you had to do, brother, it was because he's still my beloved. I still love Elijah, Mom. Right. And all you had to do was to say, these are my wives.
Be honest. Yeah. Be honest and
But you let them get persecuted for adultery, kicked out, isolated, you're the father?
Right.
What? I mean, because that organization was honeycombed with government agents in the first place. It really was.
Yeah, they were.
COINTELPRO. Yep. You saw that Netflix thing about who killed Malcolm?
I did, of course. Yeah, I seen it.
Well, it was worse than that because I was around it. And I just thought, what did I get myself into? I'm thinking, I wonder, you want to see things for good. But then you say, what happens is, you say, well, start rationalizing. Well, they got some dirt on them.
Right.
Oh, I guess he got some dirt on them. So I got to the point where, brother, I don't want to organize religion with me. I want to float. I want to be like a free agent, if we will.
Right.
And I'm just looking for the light. I'm just going to follow the light, live in truth, or seek truth and live in reality. So whoever brings that light, I'm following the light.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with mine right now. That's why I'm pushing that when I'm pushing. When I'm kidding. But over here, I think you like him. I think he would do it. I think.
Yeah.
But it may be hubris. It may be hubris. It may be. Just too big. for what I really look at things for.
Well, the way of the way is going to perfect itself, brother. You and I both know this. The way of the way is going to perfect itself over time. We know that. We know we're on a period where it's getting ready to exchange hands. The wealth is getting ready to exchange hands. It's getting ready to go back into the hands of the righteous. And see, what they're doing is they're trying to hold on because they want to hold out to the last moment to convince as many of us as we can to go with them. So that's the way of the way is going to eventually perfect itself anyway, and that's why I say I don't necessarily worry about any of those divisions or any of those other things, because we know that there's love that lasts to the end. So that's the key. You got to be able to operate under peace, a law of peace, and that's what Yeshua taught, was a law of peace. He taught how to operate under a law of peace. He didn't teach what they were calling the law at the time, which was the religious law, and that's what has gotten us and corrupted us to this day. The law of the land has really corrupted us. So many bills.
We just keep going in this direction, we'll be okay.
Well, yeah, as long as we stay on the straight path. The straight path leads directly to the Creator.
Yeah, maybe those brothers I met during Ramadan, maybe we don't really need them right now.
Which brothers are you talking about?
Well, like the brother came.
Yep.
And then the brother, I don't know his name, actually.
Yeah.
I've only met him one time. He just gave me a good vibe. At the Dobbins Masjid. See, I don't know that it may not be, because I remember I was over there with the Abyssinians, at Tel Waddle. And I first started going, this is about 10 years ago almost. It could be 10 years this year I've been going there. And then, brother comes up to me, and I had this book that has the liturgy, and it's transliterated. It has Latin letters that you can transliterate it. And he goes, "Oh, you have the same book I got." And I realized this brother wasn't Habesher. He was actually Jamaican. And, he was part of this church, and so was his sister. And he tells me, he says, the leaders of the, and this guy named Apollos, he was like the patriarch at that time. He just passed away. He said they had declared Islam as a evil religion. I'm thinking, no, I'm sure. No, wait a minute. No. The religion is not evil. It's just how people are applying it, right? Because it was like when the Sahabas first were chased out of Mecca, the Tawanos, they said they found oneness there. Because they were trying to give them they were trying to execute. You know the story, right? They were trying to give them to be returned to Mecca so they could execute them. This was before Muhammad Islam got power, and he told his Sahaba, go to Abyssinia because there's a righteous king. And when they compare religious thought, the king said, "Oh, there's only a hair between you and I," and they wouldn't let them be extradited back to Mecca for the Corvus to get them. You understand? This is Arab stuff. This is not African stuff. And then when the guy who did the Adhan, he was Bilal. He was from there. He was Abyssinian. But see, then I guess that was before. I guess now there is a lot of problems in Islam. It's not Islam. It's obvious. Now you got people who have pure hearts, and I love Islam. I'll be honest with you. But I'm all.
Uh-oh, did I lose you, brother? Did I lose you? I think I lost you, brother. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Oh, there we go. I just changed phones.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the internet phone, and then it goes out sometimes like that. It does that. I thought. Yeah,
that's exactly what I figured. I figured it went out on you.
Yeah, it does that. So I could have called you back, but it's been brought again. So. I don't know why. I got it because I was going to. When I first got it, that's why. I was planning on doing a lot of, international calling. And that's why I got it. But, it didn't have the same thing with a cell phone, so.
Do you still do international calling or no?
Yeah, I'm working with the African Union, Yeah, it's getting a little slow because my brain ain't working right now. After the COVID, I'm kind of like, see, brain is not working. I had somebody.
That's a big project.
Yeah, it is a big project. But, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. I'm working with people, but, they keep trying to start fights over there. See, our big thing over there was this dam that's called the Grand Renaissance Dam. And see, the West don't want those people to ever get in real power because they're going to be a good example for the whole continent. Because they can always point to the fact we were never colonized, we were never taken. We follow the way of heaven, we have a language, we've never been beaten, we've never been taken as slaves, and we follow Yeshua, right? So that's going to certainly be a wealth. So many people who are, a Kiblianian, they don't know that history. I didn't know it. When I went to college, I always had that black nationalist slant. I never knew about the mark, and I should have known, huh? I should have known that. Because my mother talked to me a lot about Haile Selassie, but we never spoke the language. My mother used to say,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the good white people kind of thing. My mother could have been my grandmother. And so they were really just trying to be set by white people. And it was ironic because my father, his ways, man, he has some ways that want my ways. And I'm thinking, you don't have to be accepted by them. But that was the role model, It's just being like them. And I thought that was dumb. I still think it's dumb to do that. Because everybody I know who makes self-determination, they have a sense of identity. And they do well in this country. That's why I was trying to tell my Iraqi friend, look, it's bigger than what you say it is. Yeah, I know she's done some things that she shouldn't have done. But see, for you, your perspective is narrow-minded because she invaded your country. But think about it this way. He's Al Bay. And, it's kind of the same like Al Bay. But that's all Arab stuff, brother. And see, they're kind of narrow-minded. They're narrow-minded. And what's crazy about that family, man, is it has a real problem. They're not even really following the Sunnah. Or even Al Bay, the Al Bay's the family department, how they killed them all off, they didn't even follow that. Like, they just had a lot of problems. A lot. And so, he wants me to hate America and all this stuff. I said, you're crazy. Why would I do that when there's so much to be gotten out of this country? There's so much now to change the fact that you should have your children should hate the military. I said, no, I really hate all military if you want to know the truth. I think military is like anti-human being. I think they all are. But we live in a dangerous city. We live in a dangerous town, meaning this world. And China is not
For sure.
has a strong military. And you think if we got rid of our military and weakened it, you think China would say, "Oh, let's just everybody love each other," or do you think they would use that as a way to, with their economy and their military, as a way to take power? What do you think about that? So,
well, brother, you know what man has
not
been.
realistic.
That's
Huh?
it. You know what man has been on his quest to do the entire time, so you know what they would
Right.
do.
Right. That's how man is on this level. Right.
Yeah.
So there always to be a checks and balances.
Yeah.
So what are you going to
Yeah.
check it with?
Yeah.
What are you going to check it with? Just turn it around for focus. He couldn't understand that because it affected him. It's him. It's about him. And that's why I think most of our problems are. If we see things subjectively instead of the bigger picture, then it's hard to. Like my language is English, so not only do I not like military, I don't like the Europeans. Period. Look what they did to me. What do you think I'm supposed to like? How do you think I feel?
Well, that's what I'm saying
here
about.
Now. I'm here. I said it's better to have the cannon on the inside of the tent pointing out
Yeah.
than on the outside tent pointing in. So then we got to be part of this military.
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier.
Command position.
It goes back to what you said earlier. Allah is not with the aggressor, so you have to know
Right.
that eventually what they did would eventually come back to bite them.
Yes.
So there we are.
Yes.
There we are.
But if you look at if you look at them, meaning the Arabs, What have you ever done for African people? You're worse than a European. So
well, and they enslaved their own people. They sure did.
Yeah.
And yes, so did some of the Africans. They enslaved their own people.
Right.
So we know
it's
this.
Not about color. Right. I'm not into that, brother.
Yep.
I'm into fighting righteous people I can work with.
That's it, brother. That's it.
You could be green with purple stripes. I wouldn't care.
Yep. Remember, Israel went into captive several times.
That's how I've always been. I've never felt like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if there's some people who are going to work in the righteous cause, I'm joining them. You know, because of what they've done, not because they've said. Okay, I have a history of being this way. I have a history of being this way. And this righteousness is helping the creation. I'm going to say no. I mean, I've made some great people in the military. I mean, some really good people. And that's been my home for a while. And the beauty part about it for me is, brother, I've never been in combat. I've never had that on me. So I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's good, brother. That's real good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of a special forces. I meant this, I'm more of a special service kind of guy.
Yeah.
I got my band. I want to entertain.
Yeah.
I want to take pain away.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. I'm more of a medic kind of cat.
Yeah.
You know, I would be a PJ. That's my spirit. And so that's why, like I said, I want my grandchildren to have the option, because of their academics, to think about service and protecting the country and the Constitution. I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, well, hey.
I think it is. You know?
I just remember that, I remember the stance that Muhammad Ali took. I know Ali was one of the good greats, but I remember that stance that he took, and I remember why he took it. More importantly.
Well, see, that's right. I wouldn't have gone in had they tried to draft me, because when I turned 18, I filed for a conscious objection status, and then they had to draft. My draft number was high, but I never would have been called anyway. I never would have been. They were trying to draft Muhammad Ali to keep him in this place as a, you know what? That's what they were doing, and you know, and they were and.
We know this.
Said, well, you should go in. He should go in, and he should show his patience. No, you owe us, and you never paid us. I went in because I was brainwashed by my mother. My mother.
Yeah, my dad went in.
My
dad did the same thing. He did it because he felt like you said, brother. He was fighting for his country. He felt like he was fighting for his people. So yeah, he went in too. My dad served.
Sure,
but he was combat. You know, my dad was on the ground.
Oh, he was. Wow. See, but they never loved us when we loved it. And no matter what we did, they would never give us the citizenship. We have to create our own country, within a country, and outside the country. It has to be that. My theory is, if I, like Austin, I'm a CQ Brown, I'm a command sergeant major, and I'm doing all these things, and I'm networked like that with my people, it's hard for you to attack me like that, because I got so many people with me. I mean,
precisely.
We are the military. It's hard for you, because like when I was in, brother, I didn't participate in this thing, God, because I had more sense than that. Because I knew all y'all wanted was the best part of the plantation. But them brothers were taking over bases, man. Like they were fragging officers. You know what fragging is, right?
Yeah, grenade.
Yeah. They were fragging officers. They were taking over bases.
Yep.
But they never wanted nationalism. They just wanted to be treated better.
Yeah.
So of course, anybody with any sense, you don't want to participate in something like that.
Come on, man.
It's not like you want to be free. You just want to be a part of the plantation, and that doesn't make any sense what you're doing. It don't make sense. So like, and people
was it Terrence must have left it unlocked when he came in? The top lock or the bottom? Both? Yeah, he must have left it unlocked.
7 years of your life. He's going to try to take Hydra, what do you call that, asylum, where you flee, or it's time to fight. Well, you're not supposed to go into prison.
Well, you know what the Quran says about that?
What? What do you say?
About those who fled from the fight?
No. I'm saying like, exile. Like if you're a leader and you have a chance to exile, to regroup, that's what you should do. I'm not talking about being a coward and running. I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, got you.
So you're saying that, so the NFSC, you remember them, right? NFSC, NFAC, not effing around coalition.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that, brother.
Right.
Grandmaster J.
Years, right? He's doing 7 years. Well, you got 1,500 people. Castro only had 200. If you got 1,500 people, and
where'd they go?
Well, he surrendered. He went to the court. He lost, and he goes doing 7 years. To me, it was.
He should have never surrendered to the court. He shouldn't have went to the court.
That's what I'm saying. Or you should have fought.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're saying we're going to get ethno state, and you're doing all this talk, and you're doing all this big bad talk, and the people are ready to fight, Christ freedom has always been that.
And then you went down to the courts.
The problem is, black people in this country is a mess. Not going to do what the Vietnamese did. They're not going to do it. They're not. That's not what they're about. Because you look at too many of us that are in prison or died, like H. Rod Brown's a classic example. The man put all the name. Okay. Well, how come you haven't gotten him out of jail? You could have done that. And then, how come, we don't control no states? How come we don't have no industries? How come we don't have no consciousness?
Precisely.
We still got the crab syndrome, brother. I'm not fighting for no crab syndrome people.
Man, look, a brother just mentioned that to me, man. A brother just mentioned that to me the other day at my son's orientation. He sure did. Brother that moved in from Chicago.
What did he say?
He said, man, I had to get out of Chicago because it was just, it was a lot of crabs in the bucket mentality around him.
Yeah, how you gonna, it doesn't make no sense, man. See, this is gonna take us 300 years to come out of this. And the way we would come out of it, if we would come out of it, that's why we're with the African Union. I want people who are conscious. I want people who already got a country. And we're gonna break eggs. We're gonna break eggs over there. You know what I'm saying? It makes more sense because here, like with me and you, English is my language more than anything else. That shows me who I am.
Yeah.
So I don't even have, So yeah. I gotta defer to the Aboriginal people and say, okay, what are you guys doing? I'm gonna support what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, you like it here in America? You're for this country? Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You got a culture. You got an environment.
Yep.
You're prospering. The country can prosper. You don't have no bad baggage. You can keep the country safe. You can keep the country on.
Hey, you're doing your thing.
Making problems. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's what I work with. I work with the Aboriginal people more than anybody else, and I'm still on the visitors list.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, but I'm going to help your children.
Yeah.
I'm looking for what I can do for your children.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's not about me. See, that's my difference. Brother, I've seen some stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, 1965, I thought by now we would control at least 15 states in this country. The way we were going,
right?
I thought for sure. And then, like, what we did in the military in the late 60s, when they said, oh, my God, I thought for sure we would.
Yeah, we were on the right track.
But you know what they did, man? In 1972, overnight, literally, the movie Superfly.
Yep.
Rod O'Neal.
Yep.
Coke dealer. Everybody overnight, brother started straightening their hair again. They was the priest.
But where were they getting it from, brother? But where were they getting it from? Now, you got to remember where they started getting it from in the first place.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do.
It was a movie that came out. That guy's from Cleveland, Ohio, too. It was a movie that came out. It was called Superfly.
Yes, I remember Superfly.
He was a coke dealer.
Yes, I remember Superfly.
Before that, all the sisters, all the brothers was wearing afros as natural.
Indeed, they were.
Happened
My dad was.
Overnight, that movie had such a powerful effect on people. Everybody wanted to be a coke dealer.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be Superfly.
Wow.
Because at the end of the movie, he wins. He wins. He puts a contract on the police commissioner who's behind the dope thing, and so, but he was a dope dealer.
Exactly.
So he gets away.
It's like the cartel stuff.
The sequel was Superfly in Africa. He goes to Africa.
Yep.
It was a bunch of BS, really, man.
Yeah, it was. It was painting the image.
Hold on. You're still selling cocaine. You're still ruining people's lives.
Come on.
Like heroin. There's no justification for doing shit like that.
Come on, brother.
Period.
That's it. You spot on.
You can't do stuff like that.
Nope.
It's like and one of the lines of the movie was, I know it's the right game, but it's just the only game the man left.
Right.
BS, man.
But then that's what started them fueling a lot of other movies that followed that were doing similar things. You got the movie called The Mac, where it started the process of what looked like for pimping, you know?
Right.
So you
but
got a lot of those things.
At the end of that movie, he goes back to being nothing. He leaves on the bus, remember? So that was good. But why do you even talk about those kind of things? Why do you even go for those things at all?
Precisely.
I mean,